Hey everyone, welcome. Rebecca Martin here from Rebecca Martin Coaching, teaching you transformational public speaking skills for your work and for your life. So today I'm going to talk to you all about authority. And this is a two-part video series. This video is going to be about the body language of authority. I'm going to teach you three body language techniques that you can practice, keep in mind, that are going to help you to amplify your authoritative presence. So you don't even have to say anything. These three techniques will shift your presence so that you make an impression in a room, especially when it matters the most. Now, I just want to remind you that you can do these body language practices without actually feeling the confidence and the authority on the inside. You do the exterior of confidence and authority, and that is usually what you're going to be able to communicate to your audience. Now, the cool thing about these techniques is that if you do the outside, the exterior, if you do make these external choices, it will actually send the message to your system that you are okay, that you actually have the confidence and the authority that you are communicating. If you are unfamiliar with this concept, you can go and watch Amy Cuddy's TED Talk about power poses. That when you do a power pose, it actually increases the right hormones for confidence and it decreases the hormones of fear. And so it has been shown that people actually perform at a higher level after they've done their power pose. So that's an example of using an outside in approach. You're doing something outside on your body that affects your feelings and your emotional state on the inside. And that's how a lot of these body language techniques work. So let's dive into our first body language technique. And that is one you've probably heard before from your mom telling you to sit up straight. That is staying in your center, what I call staying in your center. And I say staying in your center because it communicates to me that you have a three-dimensional sphere in which you are moving. So you want to stay in your center in that entire sphere, right? If you were to imagine like there being a circle around you from your front to your back, you want to stay directly in the center of that circle. So, what that means is that you're not slouching to the left or to the right. Maybe some of you tend to lean on a desk. Maybe you tend to cross your legs and move your body to the side. Each of these leaning techniques will ultimately communicate to your audience and to your body that your status is lower than the other person. For one, you're simply putting your head lower than the person that you're speaking to, and you're also tending to cock your head to the side. So, the first way that we align ourselves to our center is to make sure that we stay in the center of our Zoom screen, or if we're in person, that we say in our body's physical center. This brings up our other choice of staying in our center, which is keeping our head on straight, keeping our head in the center. And you can think that you just simply want your nose aligned with your chin, aligned with your third eye, we might as well go there, and aligned with the string pulling out the top of your head. If you're cocking your head in any direction, really, you're sending too many messages that might be mixed, might be mistaken for disrespect, detachment, um, judging, critical, or subservient. So, just to eliminate any of these distracting messages, stay in your neutral, powerful center line, and you are able to access your power and your authority and communicate your power and authority. So, staying in our center line shows up here, right? It shows up here, and it also shows up here. So, simply, when we lean forward, we're moving into the archetype, the archetypal pose of a servant, one who's giving or bowing to a higher power, right? If we're leaning back, there is an element of judging or maybe uh, aggression or maybe disinterest. Again, it could be just a communication that is not exactly the message that you want to be communicating. So it's not neutral. There's a distracting message. So in this way, we don't want to lean back. We don't want to lean forward. We want to stay right in our center. And that means that your ear is in line with your shoulder, which is in line with your hip. And if you're standing, that's also in line with your heel. Okay. When you sit like that, yes, it is uncomfortable, but you'll get used to it. And it might feel a little bit like you are standing with your back against a wall. In a good way, this is how we know we have an upright posture. So staying in your center, not leaning forward or leaning back, not cocking your head, is the first body language of authority. The second body language of authority is holding eye contact. So you might notice that if you're a little bit nervous, your tendency will be to look away, look up for a thought, look down, feeling a little underconfident or questioning yourself, or a little bit intimidated by the person in front of you. Looking around distractedly. Maybe you're in a remote meeting and you're looking at all the tabs you have open or the people that are texting you or whatever it might be. When we have any of these other eye contact choices, we are taking away from our authority. When we hold eye contact with intention, meaning one point, we are communicating that we are comfortable being vulnerable with the person in front of us. Why do I say vulnerable? Because when we make clear eye contact, our eyes are the windows to our soul. People can see what we're thinking, they can see what we're feeling, they can see what we know or we don't know. As I'm saying this out loud, I can see why it's so intimidating. But ultimately, when we do this, when we show that we can do this, we are showing that we are comfortable with ourselves. We are comfortable in our expertise. We are comfortable being seen by the other person. Now, I always get this question, which is, well, isn't too much eye contact too much? We don't want to stare other people down or make them feel uncomfortable. And that, of course, is true. You don't want to have, I'm sorry to say, the stalker stare, right? We don't want to be staring down our audience and not giving them a time to look away. But in general, our tendency as a society is to feel fairly uncomfortable with contact. So I just encourage you to make more eye contact, just a little bit more than you feel comes naturally to you or feels comfortable. And when you meet that edge, you start to come into this realm of power. When we hold eye contact and we take a pause, research shows that we can actually get the other person to come a little bit closer to us and give us the answer that we want in a negotiation. So eye contact can be very, very powerful. The last thing I'll say about eye contact is if you do need to look away, totally fine. Come back to your audience at the end of your sentence. When we do this, we land our point. We're letting the other person know that what we just said is important. And you might notice that I'm doing my darndest to do that right now. So, eye contact, super powerful. Staying in your center, keep it up. The third body language technique that I want to teach you is, you guessed it, taking up space. Now, any of you out there who have already worked with me, you know that I love gestures. And the reason that I love gestures is one, because it does help us to take up more space. But two, what I've noticed, and I know that research also shows, is that there's a huge connection between our hands and our brain. When we inhibit ourselves, we restrain ourselves from moving our hands while we speak, we're actually inhibiting our brain from coming up with our words, our executive functioning, helping us to come up with a nuanced thought, perspective, sentence. See, I'm even having a hard time speaking because I'm holding my hands down. So when we free our hands, we allow ourselves to gesture, we bring ourselves back into alignment with ourself, our thoughts, our communication, our expression. When we do this, then it's all filled with so much more ease. Your communication is easeful as opposed to disjointed, restrained, and therefore discombobulated. So bring those hands up as a way to help yourself to find your thought, find your articulate self. So, bit of a tangent there. Taking up space is the final body language technique that will help you to communicate authority. So, when we make ourselves small, when we hold ourselves in any way, when we tighten our hands, when we tighten our shoulders, when we hold our hands or any part of our body against our rib cage, we diminish our power. We communicate to our audience that we're nervous, that we don't want to be seen, and therefore we come across as insecure. So, what do you think? Doing the opposite, expanding across your chest, expanding across your rib cage, expanding three-dimensionally, getting taller, expanding your arms out wide as you gesture, communicates to your audience that you are comfortable taking up space, that you are comfortable being seen and heard. When you do this, when you gesture and you take up the entire Zoom frame, you are sending messages and signals to your own body that you are confident, that you are comfortable with yourself and your ideas, and it will help you to feel more comfortable and confident on the inside. The person who takes up the most space in the room is dominant. I'm sure you've seen those body language books 101 where the guy who's just man stretching and mansplaining is asserting his dominance. And while that might be obnoxious, we also know that that which attracts that much attention is ultimately going to suck the oxygen out of the room and ultimately command the most audience attention. So annoying, but true. I'm not suggesting that you go that big to be obnoxious. Again, think about neutral, powerful. So, how can you broaden your gestures so that you are still neutral, but you are taking up space? Let me give you a couple of gestures that I have found that work really well for my clients. The first is simply what I call splashing water on your face. And when you do this simple gesture, you'll notice that my palms are upturned. So this brings a positive energy, right? And the movement is going up. And also my palms are open. So you can see my palms as I'm moving them. This also shows that I have nothing to hide. So when I do this and I create a little space underneath my armpits and I also gesture up and open, I am communicating openness as well as confidence and authority. That's the main gesture that I suggest that you use. And I honestly suggest that you use it all the time. When you're done gesturing, don't cross your arms. Let your arms fall to your side or gently and relaxed in your lap. There are many other things to say about gestures. You can also think about laying your ideas on a shelf in front of you. That's another way to gesture. But you can go to my video on gesturing to learn in detail what other gestures are at your fingertips. Um, so stay in your center, hold eye contact for a little longer than feels natural or normal, and take up space. When you do these three things, you are stepping into your authority. You will immediately and naturally have access to your authentic, authoritative presence. Don't let your mind get in the way. Just do these three things, and the outcomes will follow. You'll have the experience of feeling more authoritative and confident, and you will automatically communicate that authority and confidence. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. If you do like this video, please like it. I really appreciate it. I would like to understand the people who are out there, my following. And if you have any comments as to when you have tried these techniques, please share. We would love to encourage each other with our stories. And as always, if there's a specific topic or a specific question you have, please put it in the comments. I would love to know exactly what type of public speaking and communication support I can give you. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.